So I can't remember. It's kind of a blur, but I spent like earlier this year. I spent 2 months in jail in Portsmouth. Well, one month in Portsmouth City Jail, and then 1 month in Eastern State Hospital, which is in Williamsburg. They put me in a pod with girls. I was in a pod with girls. I was like, what the fuck? In in Portsmouth City Jail, I was in Max, but then they sent me to Eastern State. I'm in a pod with girls. Okay, so I made some friends and I did a lot of reading. I read up on Buddhism, which Buddhism has been the last vestige for me in my search for God. I've never ventured into Buddhism because, I have Jesus and I don't have anything against Buddha, but I finally read some of his writings. So I forgot what the Buddha's original name was, but he was royalty and he left. This is my theory. I think he was a man who was royalty and he didn't want the responsibility of being royalty. He saw the suffering, and how can you bear that? How can you bear all that suffering and you're responsible for all that suffering? But then he realized that, wait a minute, death is an illusion. The self is an illusion. He was, at least in recorded history, as far as we know, he's the first documented person to wake up as a God man. So Buddha is valid, and I read his teachings. But the thing about Buddha, he's a paradox. You have to wake up to the fact that you are God. But Buddha also taught that the self was the source of all suffering, and the self doesn't exist anyway. But he also told self-enlightenment. So imagine that you're God, experiencing all these human lives, and then you get to one life, and the first time ever, you wake up and know that you're God and you're never going to die. What would you do? Well, the Buddha chose to stop working. He had people feed him. He gave them meditations and teaching, help him attain enlightenment. And he sat in a perfume chamber and he had people serve him. It was a very valid thing to do. I mean, it was all done willingly. But, see, it's a contradiction. There is no self-enlightenment. Buddha wasn't a liar. He just didn't quite understand what he was actually saying. Because it was the first time that we know in history that God has woken up to who he actually is. So I left Christianity, but I never left Jesus. But I've explored spiritualism. So the thing about spiritualism, it'll get you enlightenment. It'll get you anything you want. But if you don't have Jesus, you can have all the things in the world. You can be in heaven, but it's like, why would I want to have anything I want if I don't have Jesus? Spiritualism without Jesus is hell. It literally is hell, and I've experienced it. I experienced all this joy and bliss and euphoria, and then I was like, wait a minute, where's Jesus? I don't want to be here. I don't even know it's possible because Jesus is God, but somewhere in this universe, inside of herself, there is a place of bliss devoid of God and Jesus, and I can't describe it, but you feel so good that it's almost terrifying. You're like, this is never going to end. I'm going to be so happy, but it never ends, and there's no Jesus. I'm stuck here by myself in heaven, but it feels like hell. It's so confusing. But if you're going to use Buddhism as kind of religious philosophy. Don't take it seriously. I have nothing against the Buddha, but he was like a very bright 13-year-old. He had no malice in his heart, but he didn't quite know what the point of enlightenment was. But after 2 months in Portsmouth City Jail and Eastern State Hospital, God just told me that Jesus is real and he loves you. And that's all you need to know. And that's all I want you to know from me. Bye. God bless you.